The headline stuff for you, though, is Luke Shaw. This is what Erik ten Hag had to say about Luke Shaw. This didn't come from a Dutch journalist, funnily enough. They were more interested in, what do you think about FC20, as I said. But this is what ten Hag had to say about Luke Shaw and his availability. He said, I think it's probably a chance that he's going to be back training before the international break, but I can't say it's 100% sure. The plan is just to be back before the break, but as I say, I can't be sure on this. It could be shortly after the break. And what we're talking about here is not being back for the first team. We're talking about being back in training. So he's not back training on grass yet at the moment. And as I said, the updates I've had from a couple of sources over the last few weeks is that you ask about Luke Shaw getting back into training and you get laughed at. So, yeah, Luke Shaw hopefully going to be back late next week, training, but might be after the international break. So we're not going to see Luke Shaw playing for Manchester United until the back end of October, are we? Maybe November. I would say the back end of October. So, I don't think any of us are shocked at this point. But I think if I'd said to you, when Luke Shaw started for England in the Euros final, that he won't play football again until the end of October, you'd have absolutely gone, what are you talking about? And yes, that is the reality. Absolute joke. Absolute joke. And I don't think, look, from what I've been told, I don't think Manchester United are very happy either. I don't think they are. So I don't think we're speaking out of turn as fans to say that we're very, very frustrated with the way that this was handled over the summer and why did he go and play for England. But we've had that chat many, many times before. There's not a lot we can do about it. Obviously, there's a very good left back there. Marcus says Shaw is an injury prone as my gran on ice. Not a hell of a lot we can do about it, is there? But that's the update in relation to Luke Shaw. Not back in training yet. Hopefully back in training next week. But if not, just after the international break. And at some point in the future, he will play for Manchester United again, is the expectation. He was also asked about the Rashford stuff again. We had a question lined up about Bruno, so we're not in the press conference for Premier League games. So, if there is any journalist out there, the question we wanted to ask Erik ten Hag was, you've rotated a lot of players recently, which is obviously a good thing for your squad. Is Bruno Fernandes a player that is up for rotation, or as captain, do you see him as too important for that? It's a very layered question because it's a nice question, but it gets us that question as, is Bruno undroppable? So we didn't get the question about Bruno, unfortunately, but maybe somebody could ask that very question on Friday ahead of the Spurs game. But what we did get is a question about Marcus Rashford. And basically, Erik ten Hag says, I don't understand the criticism. I don't understand the story. People are entitled to an opinion, but they are not entitled to bring speculation. If I give an explanation, they have to trust my words, so it's not right to speculate. And what he's saying is, he was asked about Marcus Rashford before the game against Crystal Palace. He said it was rotation, and then people speculated about all sorts of problems. So Ten Hag, again, reiterating that he's not happy about that sort of stuff. And why would you be? Why would you be? You can't just speculate without evidence, and certainly we don't have any evidence that there's been any fallout or any issue with Marcus Rashford. And as I said, John Stones said after the Man City game at the weekend that he was disappointed not to start against Arsenal. I'm sure Marcus Rashford was disappointed not to start against Crystal Palace, but a manager must manage and he must rotate without speculation about fallings out or any other bollocks. So I think Erik ten Hag assessing that is absolutely spot on. Got a couple of quotes for you coming in around Mazraoui that we will give you in a few minutes' time as well. But let's carry on with what Erik ten Hag had to say. He was asked about the new Europa League format. Of course, we don't really want to be in the Europa League, but there's a new Europa League format. There's a new Champions League format. And effectively, you play 8 games now instead of 6. He was asked about the format and what he thought about the volume of games, considering some players have complained. He said there are too many games and there are too many competitions. It's very, very clear about that. There is a limit to how much players can play. And it's not good for football when you're playing too many games. The players are overloaded, but maybe it's good commercially. And he was then asked about rotation again and whether with so many games rotation is important. And he said, look, and I think this was a great point by Ten Hag because it fits into the Rashford thing. He said, rotation, fine, but I pick a team with my coaches that's the best 11 for that game. At that moment, I pick the best 11 for that game. And that can be fitness levels, it can be form, it can be a lot of things. But what we do is for each game is we pick a best 11. Now, some people would say, well, that's bollocks because we're not picking, you know, if Maguire plays tomorrow night, that's not our best 11. But what Ten Hag has is what you have when you're doing your Football Manager or your EAFC or whatever like that. He's aware of fitness levels, he's aware of fatigue, he's aware of sharpness, he's aware of people needing a bit of game time, he's aware of what they're doing on the training pitch. And I think that's what happened on Saturday. I think he looked at that team and for some reason felt that Garnacho was in a better place than Rashford, felt that Eriksen was in a better place than Ugarte and Casemiro, and felt, more importantly, they were the right people for that pitch. And you know, you've got to look at it, haven't you? Mojo says, with all due respect to Luke Shaw, this has now become another Phil Jones saga. It's about time we started looking for other options. This is now absolutely critical. Otherwise, we will run Delo and Mazraoui to dust. It's a great point by Mojo. And ultimately, if you're not reliable, you can't be consistent. Juan says, Haaland threw the ball at Gabriel's head and cursed at Jesus on camera. No action taken. No action taken. Rooney got suspended for the same in 2011. Can you speak on this? I want to be heard. This is bad for football. I'm doing a video on this on That's Football this afternoon, actually, Juan. I wasn't going to mention the Rooney thing, but I've took a note of it. I mean, it's not for now, but what I would say is we're sending people off for kicking the ball away, but we're not booking people for throwing the ball at somebody's head when they're not looking. I mean, welcome to the Premier League, everybody. The inconsistency is unfathomable. So you can basically assault somebody because, you know, what hurts more? A slap round the face or a ball being thrown at the back of your head? So you can assault somebody when they're not aware of it and not get booked, but you kick the ball away and you're getting sent off. Madness. Absolutely madness. But anyway, let's carry on with this. So we've spoken about the Luke Shaw thing, haven't we? That's absolutely fine. The plan is to get him back before the international break, but I can't be 100% sure. It could be shortly after. 20, yeah, loads and loads of questions about FC20, which we're just not interested in at all. I mean, I really want to beat them now after all those questions. There was also a question about the ambitions in the Europa League. He says there. So basically, what he was asked is, he was asked about whether whether the Europa League is a better route for the Champions League, considering the race for top four is very competitive. And he said there are more roads to achieve the target we want this season. Most difficult, probably, that is in the end a knockout stage, but we don't look too far ahead. We have to go game by game. It's a target and a road we want to go down. And I thought this was a very, very good question, because when you look at the Europa League and when you look at the top four, both of these things will give us what we need, which is we must have Champions League football in May. I don't know whether Robert McCormack's in the chat, but I'm sure he would agree. Starter football is going to be important. Winning's obviously important, but we must have Champions League football in May. We must. Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video, because we all know only legends like videos and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video, and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, as always.